Yes, welcome once again to another fantastic session. This is Santu Sahu and you are watching Sahu's tutorial. I am conducting 1000 MCQ series for the upcoming UGC NET exam. In the previous 9 videos, I have discussed 450 important questions along with explanation, and this is the part 10 of that series. If you have time, please visit my playlist, that is 1000 MCQ series. All the videos are uploaded there, and in this YouTube video I will be covering another 50 important questions for the examinations perspective. So I don't want to waste your time. Let's get into the video with this question number 451. So, who among the following displays in her best work the dual influences of feminism and magic realism? So, in which writer work we will find the elements of the influence of feminism as well as magic realism? Pat Barker, Muriel Spark, Angela Carter, J.K. Rowling. So the right answer over here is Angela Carter. Angela Carter, in the works of Angela Carter, we will find the influence of feminism and magic realism. Other magic realist writers are that is Salman Rushdie, Gabriel Garcia. These are famous authors of magic realists. Okay, now look at this explanation here, that magic realism is a style of literary fiction and art. It paints realistic views of the world while also adding magical elements, often blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. Magic realism often refers to literature in particular with magical or supernatural phenomena presented in an otherwise real world or mundane setting, commonly found in novels and dramatic performance. So here Gabriel Garcia is the main proponent of this magic realism. Okay, next question, you have to match the following. Now there are some novels and their characters. It's characters. So the Blind Assassin, Cat's Eye, Alice Grace, The Handmaid's Tale. These are all novels written by Margaret Atwood. So here the Canadian writer. So the Blind Assassin, Cat's Eye, Alice Grace. So the Blind Assassin, here the characters as Grace Marks, Alfred, Elaine, Iris Chase. So the blind assassin, in that novel the character Iris Chase appears. Iris Chase and plus Laura Chase. This is the story of the Iris Chase and Laura Chase. These two sisters. And that is Alice Grace is in the novel, that is Grace Marks. Handmaid's Tale is Offred, and Cat's Eye is the Elaine. So these are the three characters. So here you will find that. Okay, next question. Who was the hero in mind of Browning while he was compiling Patriot? So while he was compiling the poem Patriot, who was in his mind? This is the poem of Browning. Okay, this is an ironical poem. This is an ironical poem. This is an ironical poem. So Joan of Arc, Arnold of Portia, Galileo, Saint Peter of Rome. So here the right option is B, that is Arnold of Portia. Let's look at this explanation. The Patriot, the poem, whose name was Arnold Portia, was being taken to the scaffold to be executed as he had been declared a traitor for committing the political offences. When he was moving to his death point, he recalls the time when he returned home as a victor, and his countrymen gave him a warm welcome on his arrival. So, the Patriot is English poet about boundless reflection on human fickleness. This is the change, the human fickleness and frailty. Only a year before what happened, he tells his tale. The dramatic monologue speaker was honored a patriotic hero. Now he is on his way to his execution for unspecified crimes, as vilified as he was once idolized. Okay, the Great Fire of London. The Great Fire of London took place in which year? 1660, 1666, 1670, 16. So here 1666. In the year 1666, on 2nd September, the Great Fire of London took place. Here the Great Fire of London started on Sunday, 2nd September 1666, in Bakershop on Parding Lane, belonging to Thomas Farnor, that is Fariner. Although he claimed to have extinguished the fire, 3 hours later at 1 a.m. his house was a blazing inferno. Now the Times is a newspaper here, acquired this name in 1788. What was it known as earlier? The Telegraph, the Tatler, Sunday Mirror, Daily Universal Register. So its earlier name was Daily Universal Register. Next question. Melting apparent surfaces away and displaying the infinite which was hit. What was Blake explaining in this sentence? Art of writing poetry? No. His method of printing? This is not Blake's sentence. None of these. So here he is explaining his method of printing. He has illustrated many poems also. That is many the works of many authors. And his methods of printing is mentioned here, that he melting apparent surfaces away and he is displaying the infinite which was hit. The visionary poet, that is Blake. Which of the following works by David Mallouf, the Australian poet and novelist, tells the story of the Roman poet Ovid during his exile in Tomis? So here remembering, the options are here: remembering Babylon, the great world, the conversation at Carlo Greek, and an imaginary life. So remembering Babylon is not, and so here the right option is an imaginary life. And he has also written another famous book, that is Fly Away Peter. That is Fly Away Peter. These are all works written by David Mallouf. Remembering Babylon, Great World, The Conversations at Carlo Creek, and Imaginary Life, and Fly Away Peter. Fly Away Peter. So these were famous novels written by David Mallouf, the Australian novelist. And in the work in Imaginary Life, you will find it is the retelling of the exile of Ovid in Tomis. Which of the following works of Daniel Defoe offered his readers as a collection, that is strange, surprising adventures? Moll Flanders? No. Robinson Crusoe, Roxana, Capital Singleton. So here the right option is over here, second, that is Robinson Crusoe. Yeah, Robinson Crusoe. Next question. One evening of late summer, before the 19th century had reached one third of its span, a young man and woman, the latter carrying a child, were approaching the large village of Weydon Priors in Upper Wessex on foot. So which of the following begins with these lines? So these are the opening lines of which novel? Oliver Twist? No. Vanity Fair? No. The Mayor of Casterbridge? None of the above. So here these are the opening lines of the novel Mayor of Casterbridge. Next question, burlesque. This is a satire, parody, also kind of satire, travesty. What is common among these three forms? Burlesque, parody, travesty. Are the literary forms originated by a common writer? No. Are various forms of satire and commonly occur in the novel alone? No. So are various forms of satire, that is burlesque, parody, and travesty. So B is the right option here. Now move to next question. Who becomes Gregor Samsa? Gregor Samsa is the protagonist of Kafka's short story, that is the Metamorphosis. Caretaker. After his metamorphosis, that is from a human into a monstrous vermin. So here Gregor Samsa has changed into a monstrous vermin from a human. So in Kafka's Metamorphosis, Kafka is also a realist, a magic realism writer. Magic illustrator. Okay, so the metaphorphosis, Mr. Samsa, Mrs. Samsa, Gritty Samsa. So here Gritty Samsa is the right answer, who took care of him, and she was that is the sister of Gregor Samsa. Okay, next question. Lewis Carroll's Alice in the Wonderland is a Horatian satire, Manipan satire, juvenile satire, is a Manipan satire. So here the B is the right option. Okay, and look at this explanation. Lewis Carroll's Alice in the Wonderworld is a Manipan satire in the sense that it is Alice's curiosity which ultimately causes her plight. Alice Adventures in Wonderland is 1865 English novel. It details the story of a young girl named Alice who falls through a rabbit hole into a fantasy world of anthropomorphic creatures. It is seen as an example of literary nonsense. It is an example of literary nonsense genre. It received positive reviews upon release and is now one of the best known works of Victorian literature. And its narrative structure, characters, imagery have had a widespread influence on popular culture and literature, especially in the fantasy genre. So it is an example of that is nonsense, literary nonsense genre. This is the story of Alice. So Lewis Carroll's, it's a Manipian satire. Thomas Love Peacock's Nightmare Abbey. Nightmare Abbey, where he these are about the caricatures of the real people. Kunjal Roman, Buildings Roman, a cliff, none of them up. So here it is a Roman cliff, where real peoples are caricatured. This is that's why Thomas Love Peacock's Nightmare Abbey is a Roman a cliff. Who is the 20th century poet that alluded April in one of his allusion? There is an allusion to April month in one of his poems. W. H. Warden, Ezra Pound, W. Yeats. So here the right option is T.S. Eliot. In T.S. Eliot has alluded the month April in his work, that is the Wasteland. The Wasteland, in the work Wasteland, that was published in the year 1922, and the opening line was that April was the April is the cruelest month. April is the cruelest month. Cruelest month. So this is the opening line. April is the cruelest month. Whereas in Chaucer's General Proof the Canterbury Tales, you will see that April is the sweetest month. Chaucer has said that April is the sweetest month. On the other hand, in the work of Wasteland, in the work of T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, you will find that April is the cruelest month. So there is an allusion to the month April in the work The Wasteland, that is published in the year 1922 by T.S. Eliot. Next question. The Duchess of Malfi. Here, the Ferdinand was the Duchess of Malfi, that is the Webster's, and the John Webster's, the famous revenge tragedy, that is Duchess of Malfi. Yeah, and he had also written the White Devil. The White Devil. He has also written the White Devil, where Vittoria appears. The Vittoria, where Vittoria is the White Devil. Vittoria is the main. Vittoria is the White Devil, and John Webster, Duchess of Malfi, where the character Ferdinand was the Duke of Milan, no, Calabria, Rome, none of these. So Duke of Duchess of Malfi, Ferdinand was the Duke of Calabria. So B is the right answer here. So John Webster has written the Duchess of Malfi. He has also written another, that is the White Devil, where the character Vittoria appears. Yeah. Next question. Who could have written the following line, that is, I shall not be satisfied unless I produce something which shall for a few days supersede the last fashionable novel in the tables of young ladies? John Ruskin, no. Thomas Carlyle, no. Elizabeth Gaskell, no. Thomas Macaulay. So here the right option is Thomas Macaulay. Who could have written the following line, that is, I shall not be satisfied unless I produce something which shall for a few days supersede the last line. So here these lines are told by, spoken by Thomas Macaulay. Here the mural sparks the famous work, that is the Crime of Miss Jean Brodie, who amongst the following peoples betray their guide Miss Brodie. So Miss Brodie was the guide, and among them there were six, probably there were six students. So one of them betrayed. So Jenny, Sandy, Monica, Eugene. So here Sandy was the one who betrayed. So in 1930s Edinburgh, six 10-year-old girls, yeah, old girls, then Sandy, Rosemary, Jenny, Monica, and Unique are assigned to Miss Jean Brodie, who describes herself as being in my prime as their teacher. So Miss Brodie determined that they shall receive an education in the original sense of the Latin verb, that is educare, to lead out, and give such students lessons about her personal love life and travels, prompting art, history, classical studies, fascism. Under her mentorship, these six girls, whom Brodie singles out as the elite group among her students, known as the Brodie set, begin to stand out from the rest of the school. Now, however, in one of the novels, typical fresh words, we learn that one of them, that was Sandy, who later betrayed Brodie, ruining her teaching career, but that she will never learn which one was the who was betraying her. So here it was Sandy. Next question. John Ruskin has written the following work in defense of paintings of Turner, modern painters, and to the last, the seven lives of architecture. So here modern painters is the right answer. Modern painters is the right answer, where it was written in defense of the paintings of Turner. So John, modern painters, and to the last, the seven lives of architecture. These are the famous work by John Ruskin. Now Lollards are the followers of the following Protestant Reformation leader: John Wycliffe, King Edward, Martin Luther. So here John Wycliffe's followers are called Lollard. So this is related to Lollard movement. Now the key figures in the development of the British cultural studies are, which British cultural studies? You have to say the key figures. Okay, Richard Hogarth, Raymond Williams, Stuart Hall. So these three are all, okay, prominent figures in the development of the British cultural studies. So here D is the right answer. A, B, C. Both all of them are the prominent figures in the cultural studies, in the field of cultural studies. Let's look at this. Stuart Hall, a scholar of West Indian origin, served as the director of CCCS. That is, here you have, there is contemporary cultural studies, at the University of Birmingham from 1960. Okay, CCS from 1968 to 1979, a period in which the CCS developed many new concepts and ideas. Stuart Hall. Now Richard Hogarth. Hogarth became the first director of the Center for Contemporary Culture Studies at the University of Birmingham. He embarked on cultural studies, cultural analysis in his work, The Uses of Literacy, Changing Patterns in English Mass Culture. And Raymond Williams has remained a key figure in the development of the various standards of what came to be known as cultural studies. So these three are a prominent figure in the development of British cultural studies. Now, who was a poet that lived during the periods of Edward III? Richard the second, sorry, Henry the fourth. So here Chaucer is the right answer. Chaucer, E-R-H, that is Edward the third, and Richard the second, and you have Henry the fourth. Henry the fourth. Okay, next question. Which famous novel by Gabriel Garcia, the magic realism writers, okay, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, features a prophecy about the protagonist's family that the first of the line is tied to a tree and the last is being eaten by the ants. Okay, so the autumn of the patriarch, love in the time of cholera, 100 years of solitude, no one rides to the colonel. So here the right option is C, 100 years of solitude. This is the most famous work written by Gabriel Garcia, 100 years of solitude. Now 100 years of solitude is a writer is written by Gabriel Garcia, who is a Colombian author, that tells the multi-generational story of the Bundia family, whose patriarch Jos founded the fictitious town of Macondo. The novel is often cited as one of the supreme achievements in the world literature. The magic realist style and thematic substance of 100 Years of Solitude established it is an important representative novel of the literary Latin American boom, and which was stylistically influenced by modernism. So yeah, now next question. In which of the works does Spencer celebrate his love? Spencer celebrated his love for Elizabeth Boyle, whom he married later. So E for epithalamion. याद रखने के लिए, that is to remember, there's a trick. E for epithalamion and amority. Amority and epithalamion, both in these works. Okay. So here amority and epithalamion were the works where Spencer had celebrated his love for Elizabeth Boyle. So A is the right option here. Next question. 1801. I have just returned from a visit to my landlord, the solitary neighbor that I shall be troubled with his is certainly a beautiful country. In all England, I do not believe that I could have fixed on a situation so completely removed from the stir of society. So these are the opening lines of which works? Wuthering Heights, Under the Greenwood Tree, Taste, none of this. So here these are opening lines written by these are opening lines of the novel, that is Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights. Next question here. In Act 4 of G.B. Shaw's Pygmalion, the famous drama, that is Pygmalion, why did Eliza Doolittle throw slippers at Professor Higgins? So here Professor Higgins, okay, bait on Eliza Doolittle to change her behavior, to change the way of to change her behavior and the way of talking. So it's here in Act 4 of G.B. Shaw's Pygmalion, why did Eliza Doolittle throw slippers at Professor Higgins? She could not pass the test. No, she was able to pass the test. Mrs. Higgins criticizes Eliza for her deceitful portrayal of a Duchess. No, and the Professor Higgins misbehaves with her father. No, she was angry for being ignored. She was angry for being ignored after her triumph. And she won the battle. She won that okay exam, that kind of thing. Had no idea of what to do with her life after the ball. That had happened. So here she was angry. So D is the right answer here. Over here, D is the right answer over here. Okay, which of Jane Austen's novels begin with this sentence? This famous opening line, that is, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in the possession of good fortune must be in want of a wife. Here the option is Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice is the right option here. Next question. Cecil de Lewis, one of Max Pondy group. Here the poetic image appeared in the year 1938, 1946, 1945. That is in 1947. So the poetic image appeared in the year 1947 by Cecil de Lewis, was one of the Max Pondy group 1930s organ group of poem. Okay, Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Mind. Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Mind is amongst 154 sonnets written by William Shakespeare about the nature of true love. Shakespeare compares love to island waivers of sea. Shakespeare love compared to North Star. North Star. North Star. Here, North Star is the right answer here. North Star. Next question. Which of Charles Lamb's friend Lamb said that Lamb was the most delightful, most provoking, and sensible of men. He always made the best pun and the best remarks in the course of evening. Hazlitt, Coleridge, Bacon, Wordsworth. So here the right answer is Hazlitt. Hazlitt remarked on Lamb that Lamb was the most delightful, most provoking, and sensible of men. Yes, I hope that you are liking the video. Please do not forget to subscribe my channel and stay tuned to my channel, because in this video, okay, I will cover every aspect of literature. So stay tuned with my channel, South Tutorial. And these are all hard works that I am putting forth to make this video. Please do not forget to subscribe my channel. The term negative capability is associated with Wordsworth, John Keats, T.S. Eliot, Shelley. So a negative capability is associated with John Keats and William Shakespeare is the prime example of negative capability. Orwell's Animal Farm is about the animal world, the Homo sapiens, the degeneration of communist idea. So here Orwell's Animal Farm is about the degeneration of communist ideas. C is the right answer here. Now let's look at this explanation. Animal Farm is a beast fable in the form of satirical allegorical novella by George Orwell, first published year 1945, and it tells the story of a group of farm animals who rebel against the human farmer, hoping to create a society where the animals can be equal, free, happy. Ultimately, the rebellion is betrayed, and under the dictatorship of a pig named Napoleon, the farm ends up in a state as bad as it was before. So this is Animal Farm, George Orwell. Which work of which work was a kind of satire in Ottava Rima, attacking George III and Robert Sadi. I am giving a hint here that it was written by Byron. Byron wrote this. Okay, it was written by this work was written by Byron. And it was a kind of parody on a vision of judgment, a vision of judgment. So which work was where Robert Sadi was glorifying George III. That's why here Byron has written this work and he was attacking George III and Robert Sadi. Here Dunciad, no, the vision of judgment, Child's Harold's pilgrimage, Aristo. So here the right option is the over here. The right option is here. There is the vision of judgment. The vision of judgment is a kind of parody on Robert Sadi's vision of judgment, where Robert Sadi was glorifying George III, and for that reason, Byron had written this poem. That is the vision of judgment, where he's attacking both of them. The Vision of Judgment is a satirical poem in Ottava Rima by Lord Byron, which depicts a dispute heaven over the fate of George III's soul. It was written in response to poet laureate Robert Sadi's A Vision of Judgment, published in the year 1821. So the first one, that is A Vision of Judgment, written by Robert Sadi, that was published in the year 1821, and the next year 1822, A Vision of Judgment was published by Lord Byron, which had imagined the soul of King triumphantly entering heaven to receive his due, and it is a kind of parody to the poet laureate Robert Sadi's vision of Robert Judgment. Next question: who wrote, when a poet's mind is perfectly equipped of its work, it is constantly amalgamating human experience? A for Lewis, I Richards. No, so right option over here is that is A is the answer. Right answer here, T.S. Eliot. Next question: the coffee house. The coffee house culture flourished in which century? Early 18th century, 19th century, 17th century. So here in the early 18th century, the coffee house culture early 18th century. Yeah. Amitabh goes on Sahitya Academy Award for which novel? The Shadowlands, The Hungry Tide, The Glass Palace, The Calcutta Chromosome. No, no. So it was the Shadowlands. It was for this work Shadowland Sahitya Academy Award was given to Amitabh Ghosh, and it is about the setting in the backdrop of World War II. World War II. World War II in the backdrop of World War II one, and the second one is that partition of India. Partition of India. Yeah, partition of India. Then you have Swadeshi movement. Swadeshi movement. These are the three. These are three historical background or backdrop of this work. And another thing was that that is the riots of Bengal's riot 1963. Now let's look at this. Here the Tridip, the character Tridip appears. Tridip. Okay. The novel is set against the backdrop of the Swadeshi movement, Second World War, partition of India, and communal riots of 1963 Dhaka in Calcutta. And it owned him the Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1989. And it has two parts. One is going away. One is going away. This novel has two parts. One is going away. Another is it is coming home. Coming home. And it is the story of Tridip. Yeah, the novel follows the life of a young boy growing up in Calcutta who is educated in Delhi and then follows his experience in his London. Tridip is the main character. The protagonist is It is a middle class boy who grows up in a middle class family. He is the narrator's uncle and he is in love with May, the Price family's daughter. Here, so for this work, that is the Shadowlands, he has been awarded the prestigious award, Sahitya Academy Award, in the year 1989. Okay, Rukmani. Rukmani is the protagonist of which novel of Kamala Markand, Nectar in Sea, The Golden Honeycomb, Some Inner Fury, and Handful of Rice. So here the Rukmani appears in the novel, that is Nectar in a Ship, Nectar in a Ship, and its title has been taken from Samuel Taylor Coleridge, War Without Hope, War Without Hope, War Without Hope. And the title of this work, that is Nectar in Ship, has been taken from Coleridge poem, that is War Without Hope, War Without Hope. Next question: in which of the following do we find the caricatures of Coleridge, Byron, and Shelley? So that the real people are being caricatured. Okay, so this is Thomas Lapicus Nightmare Abbey, Hardistis, and Huxley's Point Counterpoint. None of these. So here the Thomas Love Peacock's Nightmare Abbey is the right answer, where Thomas Love Peacock has caricatured the three people Coleridge, Byron, and Shelley. That's why it is a called Roman Clip. That's why it is a called Roman Clip novel, because real people have been caricatured by the author. That's why Thomas Love Peacock's Nightmare Abbey is a Roman Clip. Roman Ackley. Next question: Walter Scott, who popularized the genre, that is historical novel. So Walter Scott has popularized the genre called historical novel, used the past in his novels for the purpose, for which purpose? Recreating history? No. Showing his interest in history? No. Exploring as to how the present has come about, and none of these. So it is to exploring as how the present has come about. So this is the C is the right answer over here. Next question: Arnold's judgment of Chaucer. Arnold has given the judgment in his work. Okay, Chaucer is that Chaucer was a great classic. No, not as great as the classicist. As a great as the classicist. No. So here, see, Chaucer was not as great as the classicist because he lacks seriousness, high seriousness. Okay, next question. You have to read this line. Nothing gold can stay. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf is a flower, but only so an hour. The leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sang to the grief, and so dawn goes down today. Nothing gold can stay. So here, nature's first green is gold. That nature's first green is gold, and the first creation. Okay, okay. So here, the first green is gold means that every green things in nature is precious. All things are beautiful in their early stage. Nature's first green. So that is the all things are beautiful in the early stage. In the early stage, all things are beautiful. Next question, Nath. So this same poem. What does early leaf? What does early? Her early leaves is a flower. Means in evolution, the leaf was a flower. In the spring season, the early leaf is a flower. In the early stage, the leaf looks like a flower. In the early stage, the leaf looks like a flower. So here C is the right answer. Next question. Roman Cliff is a novel which the readers are expected to identify the characters with actual people. There are caricatures of contemporary figures. So here both A and B is the right answer. So both A and B is the right answer. Next question: who among the following is not a diasporic writer? Is not a diasporic writer. Here Beryl Benbridge, Timothy Moore, Hanif Qureshi, Sam Selvon. So here Beryl Benbridge is the British writer who is known for his psychological novels, and he is not a diasporic writer, and all of them, but the remaining ones are diasporic writer. Explanation here: the Beryl Benbridge, a British author famous for her psychological novels, nominated for Booker Prize for 5 times and declared as national treasure. Timothy Mo is an Anglo-Chinese writer, Anglo-Pak writer Hanif Qureshi, and Sam Sarwan is Trinidad writer. Okay. According to Arnold, what is lacking in Chaucer? It is high seriousness. High seriousness. That's why he is not a great classicist. High seriousness lacking in Chaucer. Next question: what is threnody? Song sung at death. Song sung at death is threnody. Next question: among the romantic poets, William Blake was a total artist, undertaking many roles usually separated. Now, in his last years, he produced some of his finest engravings. Which of the following was not illustrated by Blake? The Book of Job, yes, he has illustrated this. The Virgil's Pastorals was also illustrated by him. The works of Dante was also illustrated by him. But the Rape of Leda was not illustrated by William Blake. So here B is the right answer. B is the right answer here. Next question: who referred Sadi as the author of Wat Taylor? The author of Wat Taylor, Sadi, it is Lord Byron. So Lord Byron referred Sadi as the author of Wat Taylor. Next question: which novel of Arkenaren was also adapted into a play in 1968? The play was profiled in William Goldman's book, The Season, A Candid Look at Broadway. The Guide. Your options are the guide, English teacher, the financial expert, the Bachelor of Arts, and the right option here is the guide. And in the year 1960, what happened, that Arkin was given was awarded with the prestigious Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1960 for this novel, The Guide. And The Guide was published in the year 1958. So after 2 years, he was given the prestigious award, Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1960, where the characters Raju is the main protagonist. Raju is the main protagonist, and the character Roji and Marco also appear in that novel. Marco, and they the husband and wife. Marco is the husband who is doing an research, and Roji is the girl, and the village, that is Mangala, appears, and it is said the setting was Malgudi. So yeah, let's look at this explanation. The Guide is a 1958 novel by R.K. Narayan, based on Malgudi, the fictional town in South India. This is the transformations of the protagonist Raju from a railway tour guide to the spiritual guide and then one of the greatest holy men of India. And this novel won him, that is Narayan, in the 1960 Sahitya Academy Award for English. And the village Mangala appears in that novel. So this is now the next question: which novel of Kamala Markande is based on the construction of a dam in South Indian family? A handful of rice, the coffer dams, nectar in seed, the golden honeycomb. So it is the coffer dams, that is based on the construction of a dam in South Indian family. So here B is the right answer. Now to end up the session, here is the last question, 500 question, number 500 questions. That is, books were seldom judged on their merits, the praise or blame being generally awarded according to the political principles of their authors. About which period is John Dennis talking? 20th century, 19th century, 18th century, 17th century. Here John Dennis is talking about 18th century. So this is the C is the right option here. So these are 50 questions that I have discussed. In total 10 videos I have discussed 500 questions. So visit the playlist, that is 1000 MCQ series. You will find that I have uploaded there 10 videos. In 10 videos I have discussed 500 MCQ series. So do not forget to subscribe my channel Sahus Tutorial and stay tuned with my channel, because in this YouTube channel I will be covering every aspects of literature. So thank you once again for watching this video. Have a good day.